You know that feeling when you're just endlessly scrolling, taking in tons of information, but somehow you end up feeling, I don't know, more confused.
Yeah, like you're surrounded by all this noise, but can't quite pick out the signal.
Exactly. It's a pretty common thing these days, I think.
And that sense of navigating this digital ocean without a clear compass,
Yeah.
that's pretty much what we're diving into today.
Right.
Our focus is on Gen Z. So roughly those born between, say, 1997 and 2012, and this really widespread feeling of being a bit lost in our super connected world.
Yeah, lost. And we've been looking at this article, Why Gen Z is Feeling Lost in the Digital World. Our goal isn't just to, list the points.
No, definitely not.
We want to dig into why, the core reasons, to really get a handle on the unique environment this generation is navigating, like getting a better map of some really complicated territory.
And what makes that territory so unique is, well, the fundamental thing. Gen Z is the first generation that literally hasn't known a world without smartphones, without social media, without the internet just being there
Yeah.
all the time. That baseline experience, it shapes their whole perspective so differently compared to, those of us who remember waiting for dial-up.
Oh, yeah. It's such a key difference.
Ugh.
For older generations, the digital stuff was something we sort of adapted to.
Right.
For Gen Z, it's just the air they breathe. And this constant immersion, the article highlights this, it contributes to a specific kind of lost feeling.
Yeah, what does lost even mean here?
Well, according to the source, it's this mix of things. Lacking clear direction, real anxiety about the future, feeling disconnected even though they're always plugged in, and asking these big questions about identity, purpose, what really matters when you're just overwhelmed by choices.
And it's so important to stress, like the article does, that this isn't about them being lazy or, somehow broken.
Absolutely not.
They're just grappling with circumstances that are, well, completely new, historically unprecedented.
So let's unpack some of the main drivers. Where should we kick off?
How about just the sheer amount of information? That seems huge.
Yeah, the article points right at that. This constant flood news, videos, opinions, trends, it just doesn't stop.
It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Right.
You're just going to get soaked, overwhelmed.
Totally.
And what's interesting is how this bombardment can actually make it harder to make decisions. It's paralysis.
Analysis paralysis, yeah.
How do you form solid opinions or choose a path when you're hit with conflicting stuff, fleeting trends all day, every day?
And the article touches on how that makes it so tough to figure out what's actually important, which just feeds that feeling of overwhelm, anxiety, and then, of course, there's social media looming large.
Yes. The curated lives. The article calls social media the main stage for a lot of Gen Z's lives.
Yeah, the main stage.
And what really jumps out is how validation, likes, followers, can get tangled up with their sense of self-worth.
Definitely. It creates this environment where how you feel about yourself can seem directly tied to those little numbers, that external approval.
Right.
And the article notes, seeing everyone else's highlight reel all the time, it just leads to constant comparison.
Just a comparison, yeah. And usually you come up short in your own mind.
Exactly. It's like a global 24/7 keeping up with the Joneses. But the Joneses are showing these super polished, often totally unrealistic versions of themselves.
And that constant comparison, the article suggests, really fuels feelings of inadequacy.
And if you link that to how society's changed, I mean, the old ideas of success look pretty different now.
That's another big one the article brings up. It contrasts the, let's say, clearer paths for older generations.
The standard track, school, stable job, buy a house, maybe?
Right. But for Gen Z, they're facing the gig economy, massive student debt, housing costs through the roof, global instability. Those old milestones, they just don't seem as reachable.
Or maybe even as desirable for some.
Good point. So this lack of a clear, stable path forward definitely adds to feeling lost. If the goalposts keep moving or seem impossible to reach, how do you even know which way to run?
Yeah, what is making it even mean now?
Exactly. And this uncertainty, the article makes clear, really impacts mental well-being.
The research cited is pretty stark, isn't it? Record levels of anxiety, depression, loneliness, burnout in Gen Z.
It is. And when you pile on academic pressure, the fear of failure, which social media definitely amps up, plus the constant drumbeat of global crises, It's easy to see why.
So it's a heavy load.
And what's crucial is understanding how these mental health struggles can be both a cause and an effect of feeling lost. It's hard to plan a future when you're just trying to get through the present.
Right. It's a cycle. And speaking of those global crises,
Yeah, the article really emphasizes the weight of the world that feels like it's on their shoulders.
I mean, think about it. Climate disasters becoming normal news, economic uncertainty, political chaos, mass shootings, a pandemic.
It's a lot, and the digital age makes it feel so immediate, so personal.
Right. News apps, social media feeds, they deliver it all straight to your pocket. Constantly.
Which reinforces the sense of crisis being immediate, maybe endless, and often a feeling of being powerless against it all. This constant exposure, the article suggests, can lead to hopelessness, that climate anxiety or eco-anxiety people talk about, real distress about the planet's future.
It's like the world's problems are a constant push notification you can't turn off. Makes optimism tough to hold on to.
Definitely. And amidst all these external pressures, the article points out Gen Z is also navigating identity in a really complex way.
Yeah, it mentions their greater openness, more fluidity around exploring gender, sexuality, political views, cultural stuff.
Which is, fundamentally a positive shift, more inclusive, more authentic.
Absolutely, there's real bravery in that. But the article also acknowledges that this freedom, while great, means fewer fixed norms or clear cultural signposts sometimes.
Right, which can leave people feeling a bit adrift. Like you're in a wide open space with infinite paths, but none of them are marked.
Yeah, unanchored.
So identity becomes this constant project. Self-discovery, self-definition, those questions, who am I really, where do I belong, they become really central.
And while that can lead to great self-awareness eventually,
Yeah.
it can feel pretty destabilizing at first.
For sure. And one last piece the article touches on is community, or the changing nature of it.
Ah, right. It contrasts the maybe stronger, more local ties of the past people staying put, involved in local groups.
With today's world, more mobility, weaker ties to those traditional structures maybe.
And a lot more connection happening online.
And the article raises an interesting point there. While online friends and communities are valuable, absolutely,
Yeah.
they don't always provide that same deep, stable, real-world connection, that feeling of, really belonging.
So you can be connected to hundreds online, but still feel kind of lonely.
Exactly, that paradox. Connected but disconnected, leading to this yearning for something more authentic, more tangible.
Okay, so, wow. The picture is complex. A generation facing really unique, intense pressures from tech and the world itself.
It is, but, and this is really important, the article pivots here, it stresses that despite all this, Gen Z has some incredible strength.
Okay, good. Because it sounds pretty heavy so far.
It is heavy, but yeah, the feeling of being lost. The article argues it's not a sign of weakness, it's a consequence of navigating this totally new digital landscape.
Right, pioneers without a map.
Exactly, and look at their strengths. Obviously tech-savvy, they grew up with it.
Innate ability there.
Incredibly open-minded, too. The article highlights valuing diversity, inclusion, social justice. It seems really core for many.
And that entrepreneurial spirit, wanting to forge their own way.
Yes, that comes through. A desire to create their own opportunities, maybe because the old ones don't seem as reliable.
Makes sense.
And, crucially, a strong sense of social responsibility, caring about mental health, the environment, fairness. These aren't fringe issues for them.
So, like the article puts it, they're not lost because they're weak. They're lost because they're pioneers in this chaotic new world. And, yeah, there's no map.
It's a really powerful way to frame it. Changes the perspective.
Totally. So, given all the challenges, the strengths, what about moving forward?
Yeah.
The article mentions some science-backed ideas.
It does. It offers some potential pathways, not magic bullets, but helpful tools. One big one is mindfulness.
Okay, like meditation, that kind of thing.
Yeah, practices that help calm that anxious mental chatter, improve focus, find a bit of quiet amidst all the digital noise.
Finding pockets of calm makes sense.
Yeah.
It also mentions real-world friendships.
Really emphasizes cultivating those deeper, supportive, face-to-face connections, building that sense of belonging off-screen.
That buffer against feeling isolated.
Absolutely. Another suggestion is setting purpose-driven goals.
Okay, how does that help?
It shifts the focus, moving from just passively consuming all this stuff online to actively doing something, working towards something meaningful. It gives you a sense of agency.
Right, like an antidote to feeling adrift, having a direction, even a small one.
Exactly. And then there's the maybe obvious but still crucial step of consciously limiting social media.
Yeah. Easier said than done sometimes,
Yep.
but important.
Definitely. To reduce that constant comparison, the potential hit to your self-image.
Hmm. And therapy, mental health support.
Yes, strongly emphasized. Getting professional help gives you tools, strategies, builds emotional resilience to navigate all these feelings. It's not a sign of failure, it's a resource.
Good point. What else?
Creative expression is mentioned, using art, music, writing, whatever, as a way to explore identity, process emotions safely.
Finding healthy outlets.
Yeah. And finally, activism or volunteering.
Ah, okay. Turning frustration into action.
Pretty much. Channeling those feelings about global issues or social problems into doing something positive. It builds community, gives a sense of purpose beyond yourself.
Right, making impact.
So you see, the overall message from the article isn't doom and gloom. It's more about understanding the context.
Yeah.
Gen Z is dealing with a unique, challenging world, and feeling lost is, frankly, a pretty understandable response to these huge pressures.
And I really like that final hopeful thought from the source.
The idea that feeling lost is the first step.
Yeah, feeling lost is often the first step toward finding your true self. It flips the script. It's not an endpoint. It's potentially the start of something important.
It really does. It reframes that uncertainty, not as failure, but as maybe fertile ground for growth, for figuring out who you really are, what really matters to you.
Building resilience, finding a more authentic path.
Yeah.
Because the old ones aren't there.
Precisely.
So, as you've been listening to this, maybe some of these feelings resonate with you, or maybe you see it in people around you. It leaves us with a thought, doesn't it? In a world where maybe the old roadmaps are gone or just don't work anymore, what does finding your way actually look like for you right now?